Next we talked about the connective tissue, and third we have talked about muscle tissue. Now we'll talk about nerve tissue. So very important. Okay. Nerve tissue consists of nerve cells called neurons. So nerve tissue is made up of which type of cells? Neurons. So the nerve cells or nerve tissue is made up of neurons. The single cell is called neuron. Okay. And some specialized cell found in the neuronal system. The nervous system has two divisions: the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The brain and spinal cord are the organs of the CNS. They are made of neurons and specialized cells called neuroglia. The CNS and neuroglia and discussed in chapter 8. The PNS consists of all the nerves that emerge from the CNS and supply the rest part of the body. These nerves are made of neurons and specialized cell called schwann cells. Okay, the schwann cells from the myelin sheath to electrically insulate neurons. So basically, if we observe that our central nervous system, sorry, the nervous system means the combination of nerves, whatever work. So the system is called nervous system. Okay, so it will divide in two divisions. Okay, one division is called central nervous system and another division is called peripheral nervous system. So in the central nervous system we have brain and spinal cord. What we have? We have brain and spinal cord. So these brain and spinal cords are made up of neurons and some specialized cells called neuroglia. What are called neuroglia? Neurons and neuroglia. But the peripheral nervous systems are those cells which supply the sensory output or motor output to the parts of the body. So mainly you have this is brain and this is spinal cord. If this is the brain, if this is the spinal cord, okay, then the nerves which extending from this spinal cord or from the brain are called, these are called peripheral nervous system. But brain and spinal cord are made up of two types of cells called neurons and neuroglia. Okay. And but the peripheral nervous system is made up of also neurons and second type of cells are schwann cells. Neurons and schwann cells. So these things we have to remember. Schwann cells have myelin sheath. Okay. The covering of cell, that is myelin sheath, because the electrical charges, whatever the if this is the information, we have to send immediately. Okay. So like if anyone it touching the hot area, then the brain advise you have to release those area immediately. You have to lift your hand immediately. So for this type of information, the schwann cells work, because schwann cells have myelin sheath. Like this type of sheath is there. We will talk in chapter 8. So okay, if this is if without myelin sheath, the information will glow very slowly, not rapidly. Okay, like this, like this, like. But within in which the cell have myelin sheath, the information passed very rapidly within fraction of seconds. Okay, there's the reason in the peripheral system we have myelin sheath. Okay. Next, we will continue. Neurons are capable of generating and transmitting electrochemical impulse. So, what are the basic function of neurons? They will generate. What will they will generate? Whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want, they will generate. Like example, if you want to learn something, speak something. Okay, then every time our mind will work to learn or to learn something. Okay, but it is depend upon you if you want to learn or not. Okay, but our brain is always ready. It will generate, and as well as it will also generate the chemical impulse also, because if any information, if you think some information, this is the brain, there are the some thinking spots. Okay, if you think something here, okay, if example, if you think something here, if you think that I will go to library, okay, and I will study, this is the thinking part. Then the thinking will enter into the some other part of the area where the function will happen. Okay, if this area is your activate, then you will confirm your thoughts into action. Then you suddenly will stand up, and you will took your bike keys, okay, or activa, okay, or you will pick up a bus, etc. Whatever you have any transport facility, you will go to the library and you will study. Okay, this is also generating. Okay, degenerating. Okay, so if you have more thinking about this particular work, then you will do very quickly. Okay, so the our neurons will generate, okay, and transmit electrochemical impulse. So if you, and if for, yeah, for your action, the body need electrochemical impulse, then only the muscles will work. If the electricity is not passing from your neurons, the muscle will relaxed position, they will not even contract, they will not move, they will not do any type of work. Okay, they need electrochemical impulse. So continuously neurons will send electrochemical impulse. Okay, there are different kinds of neurons where they have same basic structure. Okay, the cell body contains the nucleus and is essential for the continuing life of the neuron. An axon is the process. Okay, here we have, you can see here neuron, you can see here neuron. Okay, the neuron. Okay, this is the neuron. Okay, this is the neuron. In that he have small, this is the body part, cell body part, main, this is the axon. The tail part is called axon. This is part, this is the called body, this is the called dendroids. What they are called? They're called dendroids. Okay, cell body, in the cell body you have the nucleus. Okay, nucleus. What the cell body do? Cell body contains the nucleus, because nucleus is the essential thing in the every cell, because it will give the every function, what the function you have to do, in which condition you have to do, everything the nucleus will decide. Okay, and axon is the process, the term processor means something that sticky out, a cellular extension that carries impulse away from the cell body. Neuron has only one axon. So whatever it will receive the information from other cell, okay, it will transfer through this axon to the other cell. Okay, okay, other cell, it will only transfer. Okay, so the scan, I told you that myelin sheath will have, will here only. Okay, here only, if they have myelin sheath, the information will pass very rapidly. If they don't have myelin sheath, the information will pass very slowly. Okay, next we have dendrites are process that carry impulse towards the cell body. A neuron may have several dendrites. Nerve impulse travels along the cell membrane of a neuron and is electrical, but where neurons meet, there is called space called synapse. Okay, they are called dendrites. It will receive receive the information from the other cell. I told you now, and it will generate. and it will transfer the information through the axon. Receiving from the dendroids, it will attach to the other cells also, different cells like that. They have axon, they have axon, they have axon, they have axon, they have axon. This is the cell body. They will give the receive the information. They will receive the information from all these axons also. Okay, so electrical impulse is continuously generating and receiving, and it is forwarding. It is happen in every time in our neurons. Okay, next, wherever the neuron means the dendroids and the axon will attach, those area is called synapse. Okay, when an electrical impulse cannot cross at a synapse between the axon of one neuron and the dendrite or cell body of the next neuron, impulse transmission depend upon chemical called neurotransmitter. Okay, here the this is the axon, so this is the dendroid, and this is the we have, if this is the axon, okay, one tail is axon. Here we have one cell body. In the cell body, you have one dendroid. This is the dendroid. This is the axon. Okay, axon will send the information. Dendroid will receive the information. Okay, without the chemical electrical charges, it will not receive any type of information. Other neuron. Okay, what type of transmitter, chemical transmitter? This is called neurotransmitters. A summary of nerve tissue is found table in each of the cell tissue. Nerve tissue make up the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. As you can imagine, each of these organs have very specific function. For now, we have just mentioned the categories of the functions of the nerve tissue. These include feeling, interpreting sensation, initiation of movement, the rapid regulation of the body functions such as heart and breathing, and the organization of information for learning and memory. So there are number of functions which can done by our nervous system. What are those? Like, we can feel something, we can sense something, we can initiate the movements. Okay, and the body functions like heart rate, breathing, inhalation, exhalation, learning something, and memorizing something, everything will happen in our brain. So for details we will, these are the details we will talk in chapter 7. So in this nerve tissue we talked about how many types of system are there. We have central nervous system and we have peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system have brain and spinal cord. They have cells, neurons, and neuroglia. Okay, in peripheral nervous system we have neurons and squam cells. Okay, and the neurons are made up of, they have cell body, and they have dendroids, they have axon, they have synapse, neurotransmitters. So these things you have to remember. All these things are given in this table. You have to remember. Okay, you have to note down this table. So every table, whatever is giving in this book, you have to remember and note down. Okay, because it is the summary of these topics. Okay, now we will talk about membrane. Membranes. So how many membranes are there? We'll talk about that. Okay, membranes are sheets of tissue that cover or line superface or the separate organs or parts of organs from one another. Membrane produce secretion that have specific functions. The two major categories of membranes are epithelial membranes and connective tissue membrane. So basically the membranes are sheet like things. Like here, if this is the liver. Okay, liver is covered by one type of sheath. Example, okay, it is covered by the sheath. Why this is done? Because other organ or other things will not enter easily. So it, other organs will not attach easily. So functional disturbance and structural disturbance will not happen if there is membrane. Okay, so That is the reason we have membranes, we have covering of those organs with membranes. So we have two types of membranes. One are epithelial membranes and connective tissue membrane. First, we will talk about epithelial membranes. Next, we will talk about connective tissue membrane. Okay, like here, one diagram is given. This is if this is all. This is abdominal cavity. This is abdomen. Okay, this is peritoneum. This is also covering. Okay, this is our lungs. This is also our lung. Lung also covered by one type of covering. Okay, so we will talk about everything in this topic. So we have serous membrane, epithelial membrane. In the epithelial membrane, we have two types of membrane, that is serous and mucous membrane. Serous and mucous membrane. Each type is found in specific locations with the body and secretes a fluid. These fluids are called serous fluid and mucus. So wherever we have serous membrane and mucous membrane, they will secrete some substances. What are those substances? They are serous fluid and mucous fluid. If there is serous membrane, it will secrete serous fluid. If there is mucous membrane, it will secrete mucus. Okay. Serous membrane are sheet of simple squamous epithelium that line some closed body cavities and cover the organs. The pleural beblades are the serous membranes of the thoracic cavity. The parietal pleura line up the chest wall and the visceral pleura covers the lungs. Means on the side and cover means on outside. These terms cannot be used interchangeably because each indicates a different location. The pleural membrane secretes serous fluid which prevents friction between them as the lungs expands and recoil during breathing. The heart is the thoracic cavity between the lungs has its own set of serous membrane. So basically, the serous membrane's first membrane is, that is pleural membrane. Okay, where the pleural membrane is present, this is, if this is the lungs, this is the lung, this is the lung. Okay, this is the lung, this is the pleural membrane. So you have visceral pleura and parietal pleura. Visceral pleura lines the chest wall and the visceral pleura covers the lung. Parietal pleura, chest wall and visceral pleura covers the lung. So outside is parietal pleura and inside is visceral pleura. So it will secrete a liquid called serous fluid. What is called serous fluid is there in between lungs, in between lungs and the this membrane, pleural membrane. We have serous fluid. What it will do? It will prevent the lungs from friction and collapse. Okay, it will protect the lungs from collapse and friction. Okay, so lungs will not get damaged, and also it will looks very, if lungs very lightweight. Okay, lightweight. Okay, if this fluid is not present in the lungs, it will get friction and collapse and also very heavily. Okay, so this is the reason nature put the serous fluids inside the lungs. Which it means covering or in cover the lungs. Okay, next membrane we have in between the lungs. We have in between the lungs. We have here we have heart. This is the heart. Okay, the lungs are divided into three lobes. Okay, upper, middle, lower. But first, the right side lung. This is the right side, and this is the left side. left lungs is divided into two lobes, upper and lower. So here we have one curve-like structure. In this curve area, the heart is situated. Okay, heart is not present here. Everyone shows here. Okay, but heart is situated here. We have trachea. In it is the trachea. Below the trachea, inferior to trachea. Okay, so heart is also covered by one membrane called pericardium. Okay, pericardium. Pericardium is also parietal and visceral. Visceral outside, parietal inside. Parietal is made up of fibrous pericardium, means it is very tough and very strong membrane. Okay, and the visceral is also is made up of, here not given, I think. Both are made up of fibrous pericard, made up of connective tissue. Okay, fibrous pericardium. Okay, in between we have serous fluid. It is also prevent friction and when heart beats. Okay, so heart also one covering that is called peritoneal cavity. Okay, this is the outside parietal, inside visceral. We have serous membrane. Okay, we have to remember that lungs having covering and heart also having covering, pericardium. Next, in the abdominal cavity, the peritoneum is the serous membrane that lies in the cavity. The mesentery or visceral peritoneum is folded over and covers the abdominal organs. Here, the serous fluid prevents friction of the stomach and intestine contract and slide against other organs. Here also, we have the peritoneal cavity. This is the cavity. It will differs from other organs, okay, and covers all the abdominal cavity organs. Okay, so this is about our serous membrane because they secretes some serous fluid. That's the reason we will call these membranes are called serous membrane. Okay, next we have mucous membrane. Why mucous membrane? They will secrete some mucus. Where it present? It present in the tracts. Wherever we have tracts, it present like respiratory tract, like digestive tract, urinary tract, reproductive tract. Okay, the epithelium of mucous membrane varies with the different organs involved. The mucosa of the equus and the vagina is stratified squamous epithelium. The mucosa of the trachea is ciliated epithelium. The mucosa of the stomach is columnar epithelium. So here the different mucosas are present in different area according to their requirement. Okay, we have respiratory tract. From the nose, we have mucus. In the trachea, we have mucus. In the mouth, we have mucus. In the food pipe, we have mucus. Okay, so basically, the mucous membrane is present where the entry of the things happen. Here we have in the nose, we have air entry. In the food pipe, esophagus, we have food entry. In the urinary tract, the urine will release from the body. Okay, these are the things happen. That's the reason here mucous membrane is given which release mucus. The mucus secreted by this membrane keeps the lining epithelial cell wet. So what did they do? They will wet the lining of the tract. Okay. Remember that these are living cells and if they dry out, they will die in the digestive tract. Mucus also lubricate the surface of the permit, the smooth passage of the food. If in the respiratory tract, the mucus trap dust bacteria, which they are swept to the pharynx by ciliated epithelium. Okay, so why they are there? To protect the entering of the harmful substance like dust, bacteria, and also easily passable. It will easily, the food will pass easily. Okay, when we eat, if there is mucus present in the esophagus, if there is mucus present in our air, in our lungs, what will happen? if any dust, any bacteria will there, so it will attach to the mucus and air will pass very easily. Okay. Connective tissue membrane. Next, we have connective tissue membrane. The membranes are made up of connective tissue because they will covered with the organ system. So they will cover the organs. Okay, connective tissue membranes will cover the organs. So we talked about serous membrane, epithelial membrane, and connective tissue membrane. In the epithelial membrane, we have serous membrane and mucous membrane. The serous membrane are present in lungs, heart, and stomach. Okay, and mucous membrane is present in the heart, respiratory tract, abdominal tract, and urinary tract. Okay, but connective tissue, they will the cover the entire organ. Like we have superficial fascia, it will connect the skin and muscles. Periosteum, it will cover the bone. Perichondrium, it will cover the cartilage. Synovial, it will cover the joints. Deep fascia, it will cover the skeletal muscle and tendons. Meninges, it will cover the brain and spinal cord and have spinal cerebrospinal fluid. Fibrous pericardium covered the heart. Okay, so these are the five, six, seven, eight membranes which will cover the body parts wherever they present. Okay, and will release some substance, some mucus like substance which will lubricate and help the organ, okay, for their function, easy function. Okay, so we have to remember these things. So today we talked about nerve tissue and membranes. Nerve tissue in detail we will talk in chapter 8. Okay, here we talk only some basic things. Okay, next we have aging and tissue, how the tissue life ends. Basically, aging takes place at the cellular level, but of course is apparent in example. Apparent in the group of cells we call tissue. In muscle tissue, for example, the proteins that bring about contraction deteriorate and are not repaired or replaced. The same is true of collagen and elastin. The proteins of connective tissue, such as dermis of the skin, other aspects of the aging of tissues will be more meaningful to you in the context of the functions of organ system. So we will save those for the following chapters. So basically, aging is all that if the cell damage, then the tissue damage. So basically, the aging will depend upon the cell only. So the if the muscle cell will not receive proteins, okay, it will not function properly. So basically, the muscle cell need proper diet, proper energy, okay, to do their functions. Basically, every body tissue need proper diet, proper vitamins, proper minerals, whatever the necessary for their function they will need. Okay, this is the basic thing for their aging, for their working, for their good tissue or structural or functional work. Okay, so we completed the chapter tissue. Okay, so we have here we have the questions. Okay, so you have to write those all questions. Okay, you have to answer the 14 questions. Here we have the one thought which I will ask to you. A friend suffers a knee injury involving damage to bone, cartilage, and ligament. What can you tell your friend about the healing of the tissue? Okay, so one of your friend came to your clinic or came to your house. So he asked you that I have one accident 15 days or 20 days back. I got the treatment, but now I have bandage those area. So I am asking that. Okay, I am doing regular cleaning of those area. I'm asking that how many days or how many months will take will repair of bone. One friend asked about bone, one friend asked about cartilage, and one friend asked ligaments. So who will heal first and who will heal last? Anyone can answer it. First answer, who will heal uh, first? Bone, cartilage, and ligaments.
Ligaments
Ligament will.
Ligament will heal
Yes, sir.
first.
first. Last, hello.
Hello.
Ah,
Last bone, sir.
last bone. So why are thinking that last bone and ligaments are the first will heal?
Ligaments have soft tissue and bone have hard tissue.
Okay, anyone? Understood? So who will heal uh, first, bone or ligament?
Bone.
Bone, yeah, very good. So bone have good blood supply. So whenever you give blood supply have the all have nutritions. So bone, what bone need? Bone need calcium. Okay, bone need phosphorus. Okay, magnesium. So all types of minerals. If you give continuously, then bone will heal in 3 to 6 months. But ligaments doesn't have proper circulation. With the help of other organs, other things, and as well as cartilage, they will doesn't have direct circulation. With the help of other organs, they will receive the nutrition. So it will take more than 6 months to 9 months. Okay, so you have to uh, think and answer all these questions. It will increase your sensual and thinking power. Okay, and please everyone